Hi, my name is Grayson Turner, and today I want to give you a quick Premiere Pro tutorial. This tutorial is going to be for the beginner who knows really nothing about Premiere Pro, and this tutorial is going to show you the ways that I like to edit and the ways that I get editing done really quickly. But of course there's other ways to get editing done, but this is just the way that I love and I'd love to show you. So let's get started. Okay, so first when you open Premiere Pro, you're going to get a welcome screen. Here you make your new project. So I'm going to click New Project. And this is when you get your new project screen. So I'm going to name this, and I'm going to select the location. So I'm going to click Browse. And this is when I like to organize my files. So I usually make a folder with the main project that I'm using, and then I make other folders with the footage and the audio that I'm using. And I'm going to put my project in a new folder called Premiere Pro Project. And that way it just separates everything I need, so if I need to go and grab something real quick, I can just go and find it. And I usually leave everything else alone, and these settings will work for you. Once you have your project set up, you'll be taken to Premiere Pro. Now, if this is your first time opening Premiere Pro, then you'll probably get this learning screen, and the way to get to the typical editing screen is to click Editing up here. Now, this is the typical window layout that most people use. On the bottom left will be our project window, which holds most of our footage and all our files that we'll be using to edit. And on the top left, we'll be using our source monitor, and this is what shows us what's going on down here in the project window. And then on the top right, we have our program window that shows us everything that's going on down here in the timeline. And then over here on the left side, we have our tools. Now I'm going to show you how to import your files. So the easiest way for me is to go to wherever I keep my files, and today I'm going to be keeping them on my desktop. So I'll go to Premiere Pro Tutorial, and I'm going to import my footage and my audio. So I'm going to highlight these folders and just drag them and drop them into my project. Now, since I already had my footage in a folder, it just dragged the whole folder in here. But let's say you just dragged a bunch of footage in here without a folder. What you can do is you can highlight those pieces of footage, and you can click New Bin down here. And it makes a new folder. A bin in Premiere Pro is a folder. And you can name that footage as well. Right now it's a bit redundant, but because I was just showing you how to use a folder. Now this window has a really cool feature that makes editing really easy. Now this is the playhead for here, and I can drag through my entire video file here. And let's say that I want to use only this part of my video to this part where it zooms in on him. So what I can do is I can find the beginning and click I for endpoint and find the part where I wanted the video to end, and click O for outpoint. Now to start editing this video, I'm going to grab the clip from the middle of the window and drag it onto my timeline. Now, as you can see, this made a sequence in the timeline. A sequence is where you do most of your editing. The easiest way to make a sequence is to either drag and drop your footage from over here in the source window, or drag and drop your footage directly from your project window into your timeline window. Now this, if you do that way, it drags the entire video file, but if you drag from up here, it'll drag your in and out points. Now this is your timeline window, and this is where your sequences are held, but you'll notice that if we go into the project window, it made this new file that has the same name as our first video file, but it has a new logo. And this is our sequence. So if I double click this, it brings up our sequence. Now I usually like to name this my main sequence, so that I know that that's not a video file and that is where I go to do my editing. Now you can make multiple sequences, but we won't get into that today. Your sequences show up in your timeline window, like I've said. This window is where you can drag through your footage in a chronological order. This blue line is called your playhead. You can drag this wherever you want, and wherever it is where your video is going to be seen up here in the program window. Now this program window is where you're going to see what your final project looks like and what you're editing right now in the timeline. Now back to the timeline. The timeline has layers. So on the top half you can see V1, V2, V3. These are your video layers. Now these layers work kind of like paper. So whatever is on top is what you're going to see. So let's say I drag another video over from my project onto this timeline. Now see, the bottom video is this walking on the beach shot. And then we still have the walking on the beach shot below it, but because I put another video clip above it, we only see what's above it. Now on the bottom half, we have our audio layers, and these do not work like video layers. You can hear whatever is going on all these layers. Now I'm going to cover some basic tools that I use often to make editing a breeze. The selection tool is what you use to navigate Premiere Pro and do things like drag, drop, and select footage. The shortcut for this tool is V. I remember this because what are we editing? Video. And what do we use to edit the video? Usually we use this selection tool. And so V for video. The next tool is the razor tool. Now this tool is what you're going to use to cut and splice your video. Now you see I have this one video clip here. If I click in the middle, then boom, it made it into two different video clips. Now if I click V for video to select my videos, then now as you can see, they are two different clips. The shortcut for this tool is C. I remember this because we are cutting video with this tool, so C for cut. The last type of tool that I use is the text tool. How you use this tool is click this, or you can use the shortcut T for text. And then you take your playhead to wherever you want your text. So let's say I want text over here. Then I'm going to go to my program window, which is where I see what I'm editing on my timeline, and click wherever I want the text. And then it creates a graphic. Then I can type hello, and there is my text. Text usually shows up as another layer, so you can drag and shorten it to wherever you want it. Just make sure it is above whatever you want it to be on because, again, it's layered. So if I drag a video clip in front of it, you're not going to see the text. But if I put the video back down, then you're going to see the text. Now I'm going to show you how to add transitions. So how I do that is I'm going to go over to my project window and click these little arrows. Now this project window is where I find a lot of my assets in Premiere Pro. I'm going to click Effects. Here's where you can find any audio effects, audio transitions, video effects, and video transitions. Now I just want a simple cross dissolve. So I'm going to go to Video Transitions, Dissolve, Cross Dissolve. It's already highlighted because it's pretty common. And you just drag it and drop it, as simple as that, onto the beginning of my clip. And I'm going to drag and drop it to the end. And now you see if I play it from the beginning with a space bar, it fades in. If I go to the end, it fades out. Now, what do we notice? The text did not fade out with the video. That's because this transition only goes onto whatever video file you put it on. So I'm also going to take this transition and drag it onto my Myrtle Beach text. And now it should fade out with the video. Now I'm going to show you how to export your video. Now exporting is important because it takes whatever you've edited on your timeline and it makes it into one wrapped up nice little video file for you to upload to YouTube or Instagram or whatever you want to upload it to. So first step to export is to select the sequence. Make sure that this entire box is highlighted. Then I'm going to go up to File, down to Export, and then over to Media. Now here's where you're going to find your video file. So if you click this playhead, you can drag through and make sure it's the correct video and everything looks good. Now I'm going to start by going over to Format. Now to make it easy and simple, we're only going to stick with H.264. Now for me, I usually keep it on match source high bitrate because that's going to give you your highest quality video. But if you know that you're going to be uploading to things such as YouTube, then Premiere Pro has some great presets already. So I can also select YouTube 4K Ultra HD. And it'll just be very well optimized for YouTube video playback. Now I'm going to select where I want to put my exported file, and I do that by clicking the blue letters here, and it brings up this window. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I organized everything, so I'm going to go to where my folder was, and I'll just put my final video in here, and you name your video by typing in this box and click Save. Now the last two things that you need to do is scroll down in this video window here and click Render at Maximum Depth, and that's going to give you the best quality, and click Use Maximum Render Quality. Then all you have to do is click Export, and it will begin exporting. Once your project is done exporting, then you can go back to your Premiere Pro window and make sure you save your work. Now it's important to save your work whenever you make any major change, and as a rule of thumb, whenever I find myself wondering, how do I do this in Premiere Pro? Because it happens often. I'll think, oh, I should probably save now as well. How you save is you click Command S for Mac, or you can click Control S for Windows. I hope this tutorial helps you get your bearings for the program, but it's also important to play around with the program on your own and with your own footage so that you can really get your bearings and know what you're doing in the program. But I hope you know the basics now. I also want to stress how important it is to save all the time because Premiere Pro loves to just quit on you. And if you don't save, then sometimes you might not get your progress, and it's so frustrating to lose all your progress and have to start fresh over again. Please leave any questions you have in the comments below, and I'll try to get to you as soon as possible. And I'll see you next week when I post my next video. Thank you.